very special guest who's here from very far, but who is very near to every single one of us, especially in our community, Bright Beach. And I would like to ask my dear father, who was directly sent by the Rebbe over 40 years ago to this very community, to this very neighborhood, to make sure that Chabad is a strong beacon of light, a source of inspiration and blessing to every single one of you. My dear friends, let's call upon my dear father, Rabbi Berel Lazar, sent by the Irish Rebbe.
We know of the Rebbe as a person of international stature. He was born in Ukraine. After his marriage, he studied some time in Berlin, and after the Nazis came to power, he moved to Paris, and when the World War II broke out, he moved here to the United States. 7 years later, he became the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And at that time, he already had the burden of world Jewry on his shoulders. But always, in all the years, Soviet Jewry was very close to his heart. The Jews who lived all over this former Soviet Union were very dear to the Rebbe. And he always encouraged the work that was done in the underground and overground during the worst of times, when the communists were in power. It was known that if someone would be visiting the Rebbe and he would tell the Rebbe that he has business in the Soviet Union, and there were many American Jews who would travel to the Soviet Union either as tourists or for business, the Rebbe would tell them, I have a mission for you. And soon Lubavitch would arrange that tourist or businessman would be carrying a few pairs of tefillin with him, 3 talesim, and sometimes if he went with his wife, she'd be wearing 3 marriage bands. Or 10 pairs of jeans would also be worth. And they would leave that behind. The Rebbe would tell the Rebbe's people, would tell these business people or tourists, to leave the jeans in this house for a refusnik who's been arrested and his wife and children have nothing to live on. Or a girl who's getting married and they don't have a wet marriage band. Or tefillin and talesim and sidurim for the Jews who left behind. The Rebbe also publicly encouraged us, Hasidim born in America, living in the United States, to pray and to have in mind the Jews who were left behind in the Soviet Union. He was disappointed that American Jews, Hasidim, didn't have in mind, didn't have enough in their mind. There was a famous Fabrengen in 1964, Shavuos, this time of the year. And the Rebbe said to the crowd that was there, the Hasidim, everyone should take a cup in their hand and say l'chaim for our brothers and sisters left behind in the Soviet Union, who are going through very difficult and challenging times. So the people picked up their cup to say l'chaim. And then the Rebbe said, you're saying l'chaim without feelings. You're saying l'chaim without heart. And he was very disappointed. He says, these are our brothers and sisters and they're going through difficult times. The Rebbe's heart, even though he was in the United States, even though he was thinking about Jews all over the world, but in his heart there was a special place for the Jews who were then in the Soviet Union. And then there was the big turnaround. And Shluchim started going to the Soviet Union. Chabad had a presence in the Soviet Union. Rabbi Lazar has a yeshiva in 770. Rabbi Lazar checked it out. I spoke to some of your friends. He was always very studious. And he was a Chassidish bacher. And he had a passion. He had a passion for Chassidus, he had a passion for the Rebbe, and had a passion for the Rebbe's work. And therefore, this was really fitting and befitting that towards the end of the Soviet era, Rabbi Lazar was sent as a shliach of the Rebbe to Moscow. And the rest is history. That was the beginning of a revolution, of a Jewish revolution that would take place throughout the former Soviet Union. And now there are many states, but everyone knows the pioneer, the role model, who set the paradigm for the others who later went to Ukraine and different cities, the Kyiv, the Odessa, the Kherson, the different cities in Russia, Leningrad, Siberia. The role model, the first role model was a young man, the young Rabbi Lazar and his wife, who everyone said, well, he did it in Moscow. Let's do it where we are. Now, of course, it's the Rebbe's brachas. I'm sure that's Rabbi Lazar's going to say. The reality is these are the Rebbe's brachas. But the Rebbe has an army, and an army needs generals. Rabbi Lazar is a 5-star general of the Rebbe's army. It's with great pleasure that I would like to introduce to you Rabbi Lazar, that all of you know, and we greatly appreciate him coming to spend with us some time to inspire us about the Rebbe and his mission and his vision. Thank you, Rabbi Lazar.
Beautiful to see such a beautiful crowd. Many of you have met before. Great being back. When we speak about the Rebbe, I'm sure every one of you has a special story, special connection, special feelings. And of course, if we start, it's going to go on for hours and hours. I want to just try to share with you my feelings about something that many years ago, when I heard it, it even bothered me, I didn't understand it. I hope that today I'm getting a little closer to understanding where this comes from. many people that visited the Rebbe, met the Rebbe, they came out of a yeshivah from the Rebbe, came out of his private audience. He said, you know what, the Rebbe is the happiest person, but he's never satisfied. Whatever you're going to tell him, you're going to tell him that you go to school, you have 200 students. The Rebbe says, why only 200? You could have 400. It's great, he's happy, but he's never satisfied. People used to say, oh, I gave $1 million to tzedakah. They said, you think you're going to make me satisfied? I'm very happy, but I'm not satisfied. I expect much more from you. My grandfather once wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and he was very proud of himself. He wrote, I gave this amount of money to this school, and this amount of money to this institution, and from these people I gave this amount of money, and he was sure he was going to get from the Rebbe compliments. And the Rebbe said, I received this letter, I had the handwritten note that the Rebbe wrote. I received this letter when I was in my room, thinking and contemplating about the idea of the Chatchila Rebbe. How a person has to be able to lift himself up much higher than all obstacles. And all of a sudden I received this letter when I was thinking about jumping higher. A rich person that brings a korban, a sacrifice that a poor person is supposed to bring, he's not going to be yetzer, he's not fulfilling his duty. And such stories, you have hundreds and hundreds of stories. The Rebbe never satisfied. What is this about never being satisfied? And on the other hand, the Rebbe was happy. How can you be happy without being satisfied? So I want to share with you a story that happened when I was actually learning in yeshiva. Rabbi Winner brought me back to the good olden days, sitting in 770 and learning. And once, I wasn't part of the beginning of the story, but I remember hearing the end of the story. There was once a Jew that walked into 770. If I'm not mistaken, he was from the Flatbush area, so not far from here. He was completely distressed, broken, and he went over to people and says, I must speak to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I was told he's the only one that could help me. Can you please help me arrange a meeting with the Rebbe? He said, okay, go into his secretary's office. I doubt the person told him that he could arrange a meeting, but any question, you go to the secretaries. He came into the office and he said, I want to see the Rebbe. That was after the Rebbe had stopped accepting people and yeshivas, his private audiences that started normally around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, ended up 7 o'clock in the morning. And he walks into the secretary's office and he says, I must speak to the Rebbe. They told him it's impossible. If you want, you can come Sunday $2. If you want, you can write a letter to the Rebbe. The Rebbe answers every single letter. The Rebbe used to receive every day 3 big bags of letters. Besides, people need to bring in their own letters to the secretary. Hundreds and hundreds of letters. The Rebbe opened each letter on his own, answered each letter. So write to the Rebbe, they're going to get an answer. He said, no, this is not something that I can put into writing. It's impossible to explain the problem. And even if the Rebbe will answer me, I'll have another 10 questions. I must speak to the Rebbe. I told him it's impossible. This person walked into the show. He sat down, sobbing, crying. He realized that's it. People told him, go to the Rebbe, is going to help you. And this also didn't help. He can't see the Rebbe. Somebody came over to him, he said, why are you crying? Can I help you? He told him the story and he said, listen, I'll tell you something. Please don't tell anyone. Who told you? And I give you an advice what you can do. Go to the Rebbe's house, stand outside the door. Then you walk out of the house on the way to the car, just go over to him and ask him the question that you have. That's what this person did. The next morning, early, he was there waiting. The Rebbe walks out of the house. He goes over to the Rebbe. He asks the question, the Rebbe answers it. He asks the next question, the Rebbe answers it. And goes on and on for 7 minutes. The Rebbe was standing next to the car talking to this person. At the end of this conversation, this person was, they say he was flying. He was the happiest person. The Rebbe saved his life. And the Rebbe walks into the car. The driver brings him to 770, and all of a sudden, 2 young boys come over to this man and they start screaming at him. Are you crazy? Chutzpah! Who gave you permission to do such a thing? Can you imagine if everybody would do what you did? Today the Rebbe came to 77 minutes late because of you. Thousands of people are waiting for him. Do you think this is right? Do you think this is accepted? Who told you to do that he can do such a thing? Of course he wasn't able to tell anything. Who told him? And he broke down crying and his boys left. He didn't know what to do, but he really realized that if you have a question, you write to the Rebbe. So he went to 770, sat down and wrote a letter to the Rebbe. I'm the Jew that you met not too long ago on the street in front of your house. I'm asking the Rebbe should give me a tikkun. How can I fix the mistake that I made? I realized this was the worst thing that I could have done. His boys explained it to me. I feel terrible for what I did. I want to thank the Rebbe for the advice, but I realized I made a big mistake. Please, Rebbe, help me fix it up. A few hours later, he gets an answer from the Rebbe. Point number one, about the boys that turned to you and told you, how could you have done such a thing? Please find them and ask them, what were they doing in the street at a time they should have been sitting in yeshiva and learning. That's number one. Number two, the Rebbe says, it's known the word of the Baal Shem Tov. But the Baal Shem Tov has taught that a neshama, this place is called neshama, right? And neshama comes down to this world for 70 and 80 years to help another Jew, materially or spiritually. This is what the Baal Shem Tov says, the Rebbe writes. Who knows, maybe me helping you is the reason that my neshama came down to this world. And these young boys want to take away the reason, the reason of my existence in this world. How do they know what is my mission in the world? The Rebbe told us that every opportunity might be the chance why your neshama came down to this world. Maybe helping one Jew, giving him a piece of bread, helping him find a job, a shidduch, making peace between a husband and wife, between two partners, maybe giving a compliment to someone. Maybe it's your wife. Maybe the person you have to help is your father, your mother, your son. Who knows? And it says, mi idea, who knows? Those who don't see this know that the mi idea is actually a very high level of not understanding God's way. But the point is that each one of us has a reason why we're done in this world. And the Rebbe is telling each one of us, every moment there might be your chance to fulfill your mission. Not only to fulfill your mission, but to complete the big mission that we all have in this world, to bring Mashiach. So who knows, maybe the action that I'm lazy to do today, I don't feel comfortable, I'm a little ashamed, maybe this is what God expects you to do. And the Rebbe lived with this passion, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute. Not too long ago I saw a sizzle of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe explained this idea. We find in the Talmud the many different issues about minding the Kodesh. When you talk about sanctity, there has to be growth. If there's no growth, it's not holy. Actually, if you look in what the business gurus say, that any business starts growing, and then at a certain point it's aging, and then decline, and that's how business ends. And the whole idea of Chassidus is that every single day we add one more candle. We keep on adding, we keep on learning more, understanding more. There has to be growth. Chassidus used to say that life is like a bicycle. If you're standing in one place, you fall. If it's very easy, it's a sign you're going downhill. If it's tough, or you're moving, you're going uphill. And that's our goal. Every moment of our life, we have to keep on moving higher, better, stronger, happier, but it cannot stop. So when the Rebbe tells us, I'm happy, because happiness actually doesn't come from being rich, or buying something, or winning the lottery, being happy when you know that you could fulfill your mission. This gives you happiness. But every moment you have to keep on adding, what can I do now more? An hour ago was great. I'm happy, but what am I going to do now? We are standing at a very historic moment in the world arena, especially by Israel. I think each one of us, whether we open the news or we open the newspaper or we hear what people are talking in the street, everybody's eyes, 7 billion people in the world are watching what's going on in Israel. What happened a week ago, I don't count the days, when you fly from Russia you lose track of what is more than 9 days. A few days ago, the miracle that happened with Iran is something that will go in history, I believe, greater than what happened in the 6-Day War. People think, oh, we succeeded, thank God, 200 planes flying over Iran, taking care of the whole danger. Later, America should come in and do what they did. Sadly, at a certain point they stopped. It's very sad. It was also a moment that I kept on saying, in every battle that Israel fought, every time that Israel tried to defend itself, the Rebbe said, at the end of the day, what you have to do, you have to go into Beirut, you have to go into Damascus, you have to show that you got to the capital, even for an hour, show who's the boss, then you can leave. Let them know you're able to come there and be there. Sadly, again, an opportunity was there, but we don't talk politics. So we don't know about what, Bibi and Trump and what they're discussing behind secret doors. One thing we know for sure, this is a special opportunity, special moment for world Jewry to stand up and say, not only I'm proud of the Israeli army, not only I'm thankful for what Hashem did, what can we do? What am I supposed to do today when I'm going to tell my grandchildren, I remember whatever the day was when Iran was bombed. This was an historic moment. And what did I do at that time? So not too long ago I read a report. Rabbi Gutnick was the chief rabbi of Australia, wrote about the audience that he had with the Rebbe. The Rebbe tells him that there have been moments in history when Mashiach could have come. The Rebbe says, I hope the crowd will understand this, 1948, when the state of Israel was established, if instead of calling it the state of Israel, they would have called it the land of Israel, and they wouldn't have pushed God out of the door, Mashiach would have come. After the Sinai operation, if they would have realized the miracle that Hashem did at that day, Mashiach would have come. After the 6-Day War, the people, the Jewish people all over the world were on a high. And the Rebbe said, I expected that 2.5 million Jews would put on tefillin. 1 Jew for every Jew that lived in Israel, and sadly, this moment was missed. We understand what did the Rebbe actually on the meal on Shavuot, which was a few weeks later, one of the Chassidim turns to the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, you have to be proud of what you did. You started this campaign of Jews putting on tefillin, and you know how many Jews put on tefillin? 100,000 Jews. And the Rebbe showed disappointment. Only 100,000. The Rebbe expected millions. We come to him and tell him a few 100,000 Jews, 100,000 Jews. What is the Rebbe teaching us? I don't know how you say it in English, but in Plato, you have to live, raise the bar. Russian's not what it means to raise the bar. The high. What is expected from us is actually that each one of us should look at himself in the mirror and say, did I raise the bar today? Did I move a notch higher? That was actually a very nice gentleman. Once a Jew, a hippie guy, he had a band. The band was rock and roll. When he came to the Fabrengen, And he was so excited. Everything that was going on, the singing made for bringing, the singing, and the Rebbe speaking. At a certain point he goes over to the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, I want to tell you, I want to be a chassid of yours, but I cannot be a chassid. I'm not going to wear a black beard, black hat, I won't grow a beard. I cannot become your chassid, but I want to be your chassid. The Rebbe turns to him and he says, you want to be my chassid? Do today something a little more than yesterday. Tomorrow, a drop more than today, and that's a chassid for me. And the Rebbe went this way. And I'm not sure that all these people in the room wearing black hats are actually my chassid. The Rebbe doesn't look which hat you're wearing and how much you've done 2 days ago, 1 day ago. The Rebbe is looking, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? You want to be a chassid? Take a step further. There's a beautiful story. This is my beloved story, I don't know if you say it in English. Son of the Rebbe. The best story that I have seen of the Rebbe. A favorite story, thank you. After 35 years in Russia, my English is a little, but it's okay. A Jew once wrote a letter to the Rebbe. I saw the letter that he wrote. And he tells the Rebbe what happened. I walked into a shul. Looks like it's the first time in his life. I went over to the Jew, probably was the Gabbai of the shul, and I asked him, can you please show me what a tzaddik looks like? I want to see what a righteous person looks like. And you know what happened? He tells the Rebbe, this person was very upset at me. He said, what do you think? That the shul is a museum. You come look what a tzaddik looks like. Get out of here. If you want to come pray, with pleasure. You want to learn, with pleasure. Why do you come to shul to look for tzaddikim? Wrong address. This person writes to the Rebbe, this is what happened. I'm broken, I'm hurt. I want to know, is there any essence? Ha'im yesh inyan? Is there any point in what this person told me? And of course he's saying the thing. Why does the Rebbe answer him? The Rebbe crosses out the word. I'm asking, Ha'im, is there? And the Rebbe underlines, there is an essence, a huge essence of what this person told you. If you're looking for a tzaddik, look at yourself. You are the tzaddik. Look at yourself in the mirror. The Talmud says that before a neshama comes down in this world, they sign with him an agreement. You are going to be a tzaddik. All that's left from you, the Rebbe tells them, is to reveal your potential. Reveal the strength and the qualities that you have deep inside of you. So the Rebbe is telling each one of you, you are a chassid. So I heard when I walked in, it's beautiful to hear about somebody who took on himself to put on film every day. Another person, the third person. Not too long ago, I was standing in the Israeli airport, in Ben Gurion, Tel Aviv airport, whatever you call it, and I was standing there, and I see one of the rabbis screaming to a Jew, hey, henachta tefillin, did you put the tefillin? That person got really, really upset. He turns around and he says, you're asking me if I put on tefillin? Of course I put on tefillin. I didn't miss a day from my bar mitzvah to put on tefillin. Why are you asking such kind of questions? He says, no, I was asking you different questions. Did you put tefillin on another Jew? I said, wow, that was quick. But actually, that is the question. Each one of you that puts on tefillin, they are great. But that's not enough. That's not our Rebbe. The Rebbe wants that we should go and reach out to one more Jew. And he said, listen, look what I did. Yesterday I wasn't putting on tefillin. Today I started putting on tefillin. Great. So tomorrow you started putting on tefillin on somebody else. And that person is going to put on tefillin on someone else. If if the Rebbe said that we should find 2.5 million Jews in 1967 for the good of the 2.5 million Jews that are living in Israel, each time that we put on tefillin, we are saving, we are bettering the life of a Jew in Israel. And all we have to do is think, am I fulfilling my mission for what I came down to this world? It's not about becoming rich. It's not about having a comfortable life. It's not about, I don't know, whatever, winning the lottery. It's about being happy. There's nothing that's going to make us happier than when we fulfill our mission. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, wow, look what I achieved. I did what I could have done. My father is smiling, my mother is smiling, the Rebbe is smiling, God is smiling. What could be better? What could make me happier? Knowing that I'm able to fulfill what was expected from me. And that's going to give us the real happiness. Rabbi William before spoke about the miracle happening in Russia. And he said that somebody will say it was the Rebbe. So this is not about being humble or not being humble. It's the reality. If anyone in Russia today will come and say that this is what happened, many of you remember what it was in the 80s, in the 70s. What happened today is not only a miracle, it's above that. But I once heard from a special lead, his name was Tzatzkis. He used to sing with the Rebbe. Many of you maybe heard him singing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. He came once and he told me this story. It was once a rabbi, I'm not sure if it was Rabbi Miller or I'm not sure which rabbi it was. He used to travel to Russia, as we heard before. But whoever traveled to Russia knew he had to first come to the Rebbe. The Rebbe will give him tefillin, mezuzahs, tzitzis, whatever the Rebbe wanted to send to Russia was ready in the Rebbe's room. The person came, the Rebbe gave him, told him for this, Jew for that, Jew for that. I was lucky enough in 1987. First time I visited the Soviet Union. If I would have time, I would sit with you and tell you stories. That was the most touching experience, to see real Jews ready to go on Mesilas Nefesh to keep the flame alive. That's for a different time. Anyways, this rabbi comes into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe tells him, we're going to visit these and these cities, please give over to this Jew this, another Jew that, please visit this family. And as the Yeshidus, the Rebbe tells him, and if it's not going to be difficult, when you come back, please come visit me again. I want to hear a report of what you saw. And he came back from the visit to Russia, and he said he wrote to the Rebbe letters from Hasidim, requests from Jews, whatever, report and everything, and he gave the Rebbe the full report. At the end of the conversation, he says, he felt that the Rebbe was in a very uplifted mood, and I said, this was my chance, maybe to say something that was actually bothering me during my visit to the Soviet Union. And he turns to the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, I want to share with you my thoughts. I want to give a suggestion, and if you'll accept the suggestion, I want to ask your help to make it happen. The Rebbe with a big smile says, of course, with pleasure. Tell me what you think. He says, I was actually visiting many, many cities in the Soviet Union, and I realized that there are many Torahs laying in shuls, in museums, even in people's homes. And nobody is actually using them. They're just laying there, rotting. So my idea that I came up with is that every person that travels to the Soviet Union, besides bringing their tefillin and mezuzahs, let them take out a Torah and bring it to the communities here in America. We're missing Torahs here. There they have so many not being used. So my request from the Rebbe, if the Rebbe agrees with me, you are the one that knows whoever goes to Russia. They first come to you. So tell each one of them, bring back the Torah to the States, and we'll have many Torahs here in the shul. He says at that moment, the Rebbe started looking somewhere. He says it probably was just a minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, and it felt like an hour. The Rebbe all of a sudden sort of left the room. And the Rebbe started looking somewhere, very far away. And after the silence, the Rebbe turns to him and he says, and if you ask me, I would suggest that he should find people that know how to write Torahs here in America and tell them to start preparing Torah for the Jews in Russia. Because soon, the Torahs that are there are not going to be enough. We need many more. So let them get the Torahs ready. The Chassid was shocked with the Rebbe's answer. He left the room, was used to be whoever came out of the room, all the young boys to go over to him and tell us, what did the Rebbe tell you? What happened? Can you tell us something? He said, this time I'm not sure anything. The Rebbe doesn't understand what's going on in the Soviet Union today. The Rebbe left him with a young boy. Things changed. The Rebbe still thinks that it's the way it was 50 years ago. The Rebbe is not realistic. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand the situation there. It's a different community, a different life. He said, that's it. This is something that I'm going to take to my grave. I'm not going to spend money whatever to this happen. How could I tell people how the Rebbe is talking about something that is unreal? Fantasy. Anyways, years later, we all know what's going on today in Russia, Baruch Hashem. We wish there would be enough people writing Torah. We are on a waiting list. People wanting to give the Torah, there's no Torah to be gotten. And what the Rebbe said would happen actually became reality. So this special Jew, Saskis, tells me, when I heard the story, I thought in the beginning, it's incredible the way the Rebbe foresaw what would happen 40 years later, 50 years later. He said, when the Rebbe was looking far away, probably the Rebbe was looking what's going to happen decades later. And I remember I was after a little behind and I told him, you know what? I'm not the one that can speak up with people like you, but if you ask me, the Rebbe wasn't looking what's going to happen 50 years later. The Rebbe was making it happen. The Rebbe was at that moment davening, begging Hashem, look what's going on. There are Jews that are not using the Torah. How can we make it that the Torah should become their heritage, their life, and they would want to add more Torah to those that are already there? Around 2 years ago, I was invited by the governor of Tomsk to come visit the city. He said, I have a special present for you. It was 45 below zero, freezing cold in the middle of Siberia. But when the governor calls you, you normally say yes. So especially wants to give you a present. So I went to Tomsk, and he told me, when we met, he said, I want to give you a present. But the present, I can't give it to you here, you have to travel with me. I got into his car, from his office we traveled to a building, a wooden building, in the center of town. And we walk out of the car and he says, this is a synagogue. The Cantonists built in Tomsk. In the time of the Tzemach Tzedek, we're talking about 200 years ago, was built by these soldiers that came after serving in the army for 25 years or more. After they came back, the regular Jews didn't let them into the synagogue. They said, you guys are not religious. So they built their own synagogue. 16 families were living in this building. He said, I want to let you know, they were giving back this building to the Jewish community. And he takes out this big metal key, and he hands it to me. Until today, I feel how my hands froze. It was freezing cold. I couldn't even hold the key. I don't know, those hands of people that live in Siberia are made differently. But my hands froze when I was holding this key. And he says, time will come, and we'll be able to get the 16 families an apartment and fix up the synagogue. And that was the first present. All of a sudden, a Jew walks up on stage. Not a stage, it was like in front of the synagogue. And he has a big bag, and he says, and I want to give you another present. Opens up the bag, and he takes out a Torah. And he says, when this synagogue was closed, my grandfather saved this 3 generations later. This man says, I'm bringing back what belongs to the synagogue. The Torah that was saved here, 90 years ago, 85 years ago, when the synagogue was closed down. Around a month ago, we got a notice from the Minister of Culture of Russia that they're going to invest $2 million, 200 million rubles, to fix the synagogue. After 16 families were given an apartment to move out of the synagogue, and the synagogue is now empty, now has to be fixed up. So the government is giving 200 million rubles to fix the synagogue and to bring back the way it was when it was built by the Cantonese 200 years ago. If this is not a miracle from the Rebbe, the Rebbe said that the time will come and the Torah that were hidden in the homes or in shuls are going to be used and we'll need many, many more Torahs. This is the reality today. So, why do we need to speak about miracles of the Rebbe? For one simple reason. Because the Rebbe promised many different things and they all happened. We all know, look at the history, look what the Rebbe spoke about Israel, about world Jewry, about Russia. You can make a list, it's endless. One promise he still hasn't seen and became fulfilled is the coming of Mashiach. The Rebbe said, our generation is going to go and meet Mashiach. Mashiach is going to come and see you and he's going to ask you, tell me, Yaakov, what did you do today to bring Mashiach? Were you part of this effort in the last moment when we see such miracles, open miracles? Can we use this opportunity? Rebbe said, 48, we missed it. Sinai campaign, we missed it. 67, we missed it. Today, after seeing the miracle that we saw last week, let's get together, do whatever we can to bring Mashiach now. Thank you.